Okay, we are live now. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the second talk for our Legal Awareness Week. My name is Jay, and I will be your host today. And today, we'll be discussing on the topic on how to draft a will.
Hi, everyone.
So,
stay safe.
Yeah. And do you know that actually we can prepare our own will without having a lawyer? But for you to actually draft your own will, do you know that there are some of the formalities that you have to ensure so that your will is a valid one? If you have all these questions or queries in your mind, don't worry. Our speaker today will answer all these queries today. So before we start, if you have any questions related to today's topic, feel free to leave your comments or questions in the comment box, and we will address it at the end of our session later. So now, let us welcome our speaker today, Mr. Jason.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's topics on how to draft your own will. Yes, thanks, Natalie, for hosting it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jason. Okay. So Mr. Jason, as we know that before we start to prepare our will, I believe many people will actually ask that, why do I need a will? Or how will my property be distributed if I don't have a will? So, some of the people will ask, 为什么立遗嘱那么的重要？它真的那么的重要吗？如果假设今天我没有这个遗嘱的话，我的财产将如何被分配？ So, Mr. Jason, what is your opinion on this question?
Yeah, I think initially we have to understand what is a will about. 什么是立遗嘱哈？ So today we're going to use two media of language. I guess we're going to interchangeable for the benefit of the Chinese community as well. 立遗嘱 is of course is something that your wish, your legacy, your property, your asset will have to put it in the very layman terms to hands on to the next generation when you are not around. 就是把你的产业怎么样去规模，然后就是传给你下一代，就是有一个安排，然后立下你的遗嘱。遗嘱里头呢是说你要把你的产业财产怎么交上去给下一代的人是谁谁接任你的产业就是这个一个很简单的讲法了。对了。So Natalie, we are looking at these questions, right? Why do we need to draft a will, right?
Yeah. Why is it so important?
Yeah, exactly. So I think it is very important to draft a will simply because of all years that the hard-earned money that you have acquired certain asset, for example, a property, you wish that property to lend it or hands it over to your loved ones, right? To your relative and so on. 就是这个你所多年储蓄以来的钱买了产业，怎么样将你的产业交给你下一代或者是你心爱的人，就是这个遗嘱呢就有这个效力，有这个法律的效力，就是把你的产业交给下一代了。So it is very important to draft a will because without the will, your property will then goes to your estate, right? So who is your estate? The next question is 就是给你的最亲的人estate。那么 estate 里面呢有包括就是亲人有 immediate family 了，就是我们用的英文是说 immediate family 是指对上的是父母亲跟你平坐的就是 spouse 咯你的太太OK your spouse, your parents or your child 就是你的子儿女儿子女就是 these are all the immediate family. But of course, if with the assisting of a will, if you draft a will, then the properties will then pass on to the one that you decide to pass it on. Probably it's not your immediate family, but for any other reason that you might want to pass on to, for example, Mr. A, you can do so. Yeah, 就是你的意愿是要把这个产业要交给你某某人 就不是你在你的家人里面的人也是可以在你的遗嘱里面写下去。如果你没有做这一步的话呢，那么这个产业呢就不会交给你那个你所要意愿的人了，就是会跑到去你的 estate 了。那么这个是其中一个重点啦。对。
So basically, actually, it's quite important to have a will so that we have control on how to distribute our wills 啦。所以简单而言，其实立遗嘱其实挺重要的，因为呢，我们可以在当中呢，可以根据我们的意愿，我们想要的安排来控制我们的这些财产要如何的分配。So when we talk about drafting of will, we would like to know that what should we include in our will? How do we prepare our will? 所以在我们立遗嘱的时候呢，有什么条款是我们一定要放在里面的呢？
好，我先用华语了哈。那么第一个遗嘱呢，最基本的东西呢，就是一定是受益人了因为那个遗嘱里面的产业要交给谁呢？那个是一定要确保那个人的名称是人呢就是如果你要交给小孩的话，也是有不同的安排那么那个受益人是第一样东西要留意的。So 用英文来说就是 beneficiary, okay? You must determine your beneficiary. That is the first point that you have to take note of. So moving on, the second thing, of course, you have to highlight the list of assets, all right, that you acquire. Asset can be many forms, movable and immovable. Immovable, for example, is the property that you own. Movable can be some variable items, can be a car, can be a jewelry, all right, can be insurance, or you name it, anything that has value. Those can also fall under the category of asset. 就是你的产业，你要确认你到底在你手上，在你有生之年呢，就是有什么产业在你手上那个是第二样东西你要确保的。当然我们讲的是一个很大的规划或者是你们所见到的咯这基本的东西名字受益人计划然后第三呢就是你那个执行人是谁，我们叫 executor。如果女的话呢，执行人呢是 executrix所以那个执行人呢就是他的任务呢就是要把你所有的产业，就是在你不在的时候呢，他可以代表你去分你所意愿的产业，所以那个执行人呢也是蛮重要。就是一般上我们在我们的律师楼呢都会有遇到很多顾客所发问的，就是到底谁是适合的执行人呢？那么他一定是你所相信的人或者是有可能是你亲戚你的兄弟或者是你很好的朋友都可以当这个职位的。当你不在的时候呢，他就会把你的意愿呢去跟着你的遗嘱里面写的去分配那么these are all the basic informations that you have to prepare.
Just a question: when we prepare our will, is there any like fixed language? Like I only can write in English or BM because I'm in Malaysia. Is it okay if I put in other language such as Mandarin or other languages?
Yeah, as far as language is concerned, you may put it in Mandarin, but because the Mandarin it is something that probably the testator, the person who prepared the will, right? Probably that testator able to understand. There's no issue. You can write it in Mandarin, but if you ask me, I would suggest that it will be translated. Okay, the will have two versions, identical. It's just the language that makes a difference. The Mandarin version translate into the English version. So generally in Malaysia, we draft in English.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Jason, about this language thing. Then after finish drafting, like add in all my beneficiaries, my assets, and also my executor, all this kind of thing. Is there any formalities that I need to follow, or what is the next step to actually make sure that this will itself is a valid one? 所以我在立完我的遗嘱过后，我已经把我的受益人、我的财产还有我的执行人全部都放在我的遗嘱里面之后呢，我的下一个步骤是什么？我才能确保我这个遗嘱是有效的呢？
OK，要做一个有效的遗嘱呢，有几样东西大家要留意一下的，就是签名了哦，那个是很基本的东西啊。很多时候以为是把遗嘱写下来，不过那个所立遗嘱的人没有把那个名字签下来，虽然是一个很基本的东西，不过也会发生哦。签名签下去那个是第一样。那么第二样呢，就要有证人去监着他签名。所以一般上呢，必须要2个证人去见证他签名。那么在这一步呢，大家要留意一下哦，这个证人呢，不可以是受益人哦，他可以是执行人，不过他一定不是那个受益人哦。就是in English means that any will that drafted it has to be executed means that in layman terms it has to be signed by the testator then in front of 2 witnesses. All right, that witness can be anybody. If you sign in the law firms, then the law firms will have a lawyer to present, witness your signature. Another probably another officer or the office bearer will come and witness your signature. It is perfectly fine. But always remember that the beneficiary cannot be the witness in the will. Yeah.
Okay. So
Right.
if today, because all this is actually basically we can also do it at home, right? So if
Yeah.
what if today I want to have a lawyer to help me to prepare my will, then what are the documents that I need to prepare for my lawyer? So
Yeah.
因为以上的呢，我们是在说这些，你在家里可以自己立遗嘱，也是可以让你的就是可能你的咨询人还是其他人一样见证你签名。但是如果今天我想要一个律师来帮我准备我这个遗嘱的话，我需要准备什么文件给我的律师呢？
好，一般上这个是必定要准备的东西哈。如果大家有请你们的律师的话呢，一般上有几样东西你们要准备的。那么第一样呢，就是立遗嘱的资料像他本人的资料，就是如果要简单说，你可以准备你的 IC 了。那么第二样东西呢，刚才我有说的那个重要性里面其中几点哦。第一点就是我先讲的是受益人先了哈。比如说我受益人有5个，那么呢5个人的 IC 都不需要交上去给律师复印的了哈。那么因为我们要把这些资料呢会写在那个遗嘱里面，确保每个产业是针对对的受益人去给他们不然的话，如果我们的经验如果你们是用纸或者是用 WhatsApp 来 send 过去给你的律师的话呢，那么有很大的机会你会打错字写错名字那么就麻烦了，因为你的遗嘱呢，你的遗嘱你做出来的时候呢不正确那个人的受益人的名字打错那种东西，最好就是有 IC 了哦。那么我们讲了那个受益人的过后呢，还有你要去确认你自己的产业到底有多几种比如说我有 immovable 的话呢，我们有屋子或者是什么properties landed property so 你的 grant 你的那个 grant 呢，就是要 photostat 交给你的律师。因为他们就会把你的那个产业的资料呢，就会写上那个遗嘱里面当然每一个产业都会分配，怎么分配？你可以所有的这整间屋子给了某某人，或者是分给2个人的名字都可以的。那么除了这些呢，你还可以去找回你自己的银行的资料比如说你自己银行有一个 saving 或者是有一个 FD， 它是哪一个银行，有什么你的银行的号码，所有东西都要写下来然后如果你有这些资料的话，有 bank statement 的话，你也是可以交给律师就是复印下来交给律师，律师就是把你这些银行的资料会写在那个 will 里面。 那么第三种呢，就是有些人他又买 share 啊，或者是某某公司的shareholders 啊，或者是有买 insurance 啊、保险啊、车啊，这所有的东西呢，都要把它的资料写下来哦。当然车的话呢，我们可以说车 model 是哪一个品牌的车，还有它这辆车的车号码 registration number yeah so these are the list of assets as I say what are the documents that you have to present or pass it to your lawyers is basically all the informations that listed in the will. For example, the list of beneficiary, of course, the executor, and also the list of assets. Because all those assets will have to be rightly distributed according to the will. So all the asset has to be indicated in a chronology manner. Like for example, if you have a removable property, then your copy of title will have to pass it to your lawyer to draft it up. Further to that, you have a car, you have a vehicle, then your registration numbers, car models, and have you can pass it to your lawyer. And of course, those bank details, for example, the bank account number, you have insurance policies and so on. So all these are the list of assets that you have to pass on. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so basically we can see that whatever you put inside the will, you also have to prepare those information to your lawyer, so to make sure that everything is like in a correct manner, right? So, but if today, for example, today if I prepare this will already, I execute already, I sign already, the witness also sign already, but later I want to change like one of the terms of my will. For example, I want to change the executor. Do I need to prepare a new will again, or is there any way that I can just change the terms? 就好像今天我已经准备好了一个遗嘱，我已经签好名了，证人也签好名了。然后过后我想要换我遗嘱里面的其中一个条款，请问我需要重新准备过一个新的遗嘱呢，还是我有什么方法可以只是改掉那一个条款而已？
OK，当然，如果讲到你有 terms 要改的话啦，我们讲如果你要改遗嘱的话呢，就是简单来说，其中有包括刚才那里有提到的，就是有可能那个执行人他不想要做你的执行人了，或者是你打算要换另外一个人，或者是你的产业有可能也不在了，那个产业卖了，或者是你买一个新的产业你想加进去，这种example 很多不同的变化呢，我们一般上呢就会建议去做新的了，要做新的一个 will， 然后 because is the will， 它那个遗嘱呢，它会这样子的，如果你做新的话呢，那个旧的呢就会被盖掉我们简单讲的就被盖掉，那么你旧的那个呢就会没有那个法律的效用。那么我们就看新的了。那么怎么样去对比呢？哪一个是新，哪一个是旧呢？就是看那个日期咯。如果我今天在5月23号我做了一个 will， 我5月24号我做另外一个 will 的话，那么5月23号今天的 will 是不 valid 了，那么明天那个 will 才 valid 的。Yeah, so basically, like I say, as far as the will is concerned, the new drafted will will override the old will. So that is where, in the event if you have anything to change in the will, we would always suggest you to write a new will. Yeah, so to replace the old one. Yes.
So basically, it's suggested to make a new will to ensure that the new will is actually the valid one, right?
Yeah.
But what if today, if I prepared the will already, but I decided to cancel my whole will, just like I want to revoke the whole will, what should I do? 是
Okay.
假设今天我立了遗嘱呢，我想要就是取消掉我整个遗嘱，请问我有什么方法可以这样子做？
Okay, as far as revoke the will， 或者是你要取消你的遗嘱的话，刚才我们有说啦，如果什么种种原因都好了，其实你一做新的 will 呢，你旧的 will 就会被取消。不过我是要 highlight 一样东西，就是说，如果你有买比较有多的产业啦要有关你的 asset 的问题啦。 然后你的分配呢没有特别的分配，因为比如说你的一家人只是有两个小孩，然后你的产业只是怎么样分都是平分的两个小孩的话，很 straightforward 的话呢，那么你可以在你的 will 里面可以放一个 residuary clause 啦，就是说你那些产业没有讲到的产业就会跟着以下的分配。那以下的分配就怎么样分呢？就是两个小孩是50-50的分配。如果有这个一种条例在你的遗嘱里面呢，基本上你的产业的跳动呢是没有影响的。你可以今天你卖的这个产业，后天你买了一个 bungalow，也是跟着分。你在这种情况之下，你不用写 new will 了。So what I'm trying to say is, if in the event, if you wanted to revoke the old will, that really depends on your circumstances. If you think the properties that no matter how you distribute, it has to goes to the two person, the two child on the 50-50 basis. So whatever asset that pass on, if it's going to distribute in that manner, means that you can actually stay with the old will. Yeah, because you can always incorporate a residuary clause in there in the same will and state that whatever property that are not mentioned here, it will subsequently be distributed according to the following, which is 50-50 to the two child. Yeah, so in the future, if you acquire 10 properties, 20 property, it doesn't matter. It will be distributed according to the residuary clause. So of course, the property that you sold is no longer listed in the list. That doesn't really matter because if it is not there, there's nothing to distribute anyway. Yeah, so that is how you can maintain the will, and also in the same way you can revoke the old will by drafting a new will. Yeah.
All right. Okay, thank you, Mr. Jason. So basically, through this session, we actually can see how to draft a will. If I want to amend a will, what can I do? And also, what if I want to revoke the will or I want to add some clauses, right? So
Yes.
before we end today's session, let us see some of the questions posted by our audience. Okay. So the first question will be, does a will only can contain one testator?
Yeah, the testator, you are saying that the person who write the will, that means who sign the will. Of course, in the circumstances, it is a joint name, can be husband and wife. Yeah, so it's not necessarily one person. It can be two. Yeah, the most common one that we see is husband and wife jointly drafted the will. But we always advise to have the will individually drafted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Means if I want to to have two testators, the term must be the same terms, right?
Yeah, it can be different because like I say, it always goes to the individual is better. But if you want to join, probably you don't have much asset. There's one particular asset have a joint name, so both of your names can be drafted in the same will, and then as far as distributing is concerned, it can be separately described how do you want to distribute, because probably the property is jointly owned. So in other words, I only own 50%. I only have the rights of the 50% of the property. So how do I'm going to distribute? Probably out of that 50%, 50% again, I give it to another person. The balance 50% I give another. So, well, your joining partners will have a different will on this. Then he want to give everything of his 50% to another person. So whatever it is, how do you want to distribute? No issue. All can be drafted in the will. Yeah.
Okay. Let's look at a second question. Okay. So the second question is basically saying that, does the executor have the power to actually hold the beneficiary's money inside their own account?
Okay. The executor power, it is to distribute. All right. So like I say, when we apply to court for to appoint an executor, of course the power vested, all right, into an executor. So of course the executor will have to distribute. So in order for the executor to distribute, he will have to have the power to hold the proceed, because not all case that the money will directly goes to the beneficiary. Probably there will be 10 beneficiary. Hence, the money have to goes to vested into the executor. So executor will have the power to distribute. For example, I hold 100,000 from the deceased money. Then of course it has to goes to me first, right? Otherwise, I being the executor, I can't distribute. So it will goes to executor first. But then there's a saying lah. There's a saying saying that probably the executor being naughty, right? He took all the money away and all that. So that's why in the court proceeding, right? I mean, in LA situation, then you can ask for dispense of the sureties. This is where the court actually impose the administrator in a way of there is no will to put in certain money into the court in case the 执行人 run away. Yeah. So of course, with all the beneficiary in agreeing with the terms that this administrator is fine, then it can be dispensed with the sureties. So to give you a straightforward answer, yes, you have to vest it into the executor for the purpose of distribution, not for the purpose of taking the money away. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Jason, on this question. We have a third question. If my spouse, maybe my husband or wife, already have a will, should I write another will if I have my own property? Yes.
Yeah. Correct. I think the very first thing is for the benefit of saving the cost lah. If you're looking at there, you have to first look at your old will and see whether there is a residuary clause. 看看它有没有那个 residuary clause 哦。What is the residuary clause basically stated is that in the future you have other properties that you are not mentioned, you didn't mention in the current will. It will then distribute according to your wish lah. If that clause is there, then probably you don't have to draft another new will because it's covered. But then there will be two situations that you might want to consider. Number one is that particular clause, whether it's there. If no such clause, then you will have to see, or if there is a clause, then you have to see whether the distribution is it according to what you wish. Because if I not around, probably that property I want to pass to my third son, not the second son, and to the third son and that son only. Then in that case, you have no choice, have to draft a will to give to that effect. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Jason, for this question. And we have a last question here.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Mr. Jason, on using a codicil rather than drafting a whole new will to actually accommodate the new changes?
It can be done as well. Yeah, because the as far as drafting, I always think that drafting a new will, it gives a new full meaning of the entire will drafting, because I mean if it's there in according to time, because most of us are at this age, there are probably 10 years you will acquire more property and so on, right? What I'm saying is in the event if there is a significant changes on your nature in terms of beneficiary, in terms of asset, it is always good to draft a will, because what people don't see is when the lawyer go to court, right? And we probably will chat in terms of challenging, because we do not know whose beneficiary in your family will turn up in court to challenge the will. So if your will have significant changes, it always to draft a new will instead of codicil. Yeah. The experience that we have here is even though there is a will that drafted, right? That doesn't mean people couldn't challenge the will. Yeah, because of the, as far as the manner the will drafted it is also subject to challenge. So what I'm saying, if you really have significant changes in terms of property, beneficiary, or the executor, I would suggest that you would better to draft a will. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jason. And we have a last question, and maybe it's like more on a worry from our audience.
Yeah.
If I made a will using a law firm, means I have a lawyer, then
Yeah.
if the law firm closed down, is the will still valid or not?
The will absolutely still valid. The will is still valid, yeah. Because actually it's not about the law firm, surviving law firm, or whether the law firm is around or not. Because as far as the will is concerned, it is still valid. You can use the will and pass on to any law firm in town to proceed for the application to grant or probate in court. So it doesn't mean that you draft a will with lawyers A, you have to go back to lawyers A to get a grant or probate. Yeah, you can always go to any other firm. It's just that usually we will have two witnesses to sign on the affidavits. Yeah, so we have to locate that particular person. Whether that lawyer is still practicing or not, right? There is still two witnesses. You have to locate the witness.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jason. Sorry, got one last question from our audience.
Yeah.
Is the executor entitled to a special fee or any commissions for the disposal of the properties of the deceased?
In practice, the executor will normally don't take any commission for it. In practice, I mean, because most of the time the executor is a relative, can be the beneficiary as well, right? So normally they don't take any fees in a small estate distribution. But if it is a commercial company that are drafting for you, they will charge a commission for that because it is a duty, right, to ensure the distribution arrangement. So to the companies to do it, it is a form of a duty, right? And they don't take any benefit from doing this. So probably they will have to charge a fee for distribution. Yeah. So likewise, in terms of private sector, I have seen long in my practice, right? I have seen they actually were, I mean, beforehand will tell you, look, I have no issue of being your executor, but I would want to have probably 5% of your proceed, and then because the testator himself no issue about that, right? So that can be done. That can be arranged as well. So in short, there is no certainty as far as whether you can earn commission from that or not. Yeah. So it really depends. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jason. So basically, it's depending on the terms of the will, whether it's entitled or not, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So I think, okay, there are no more questions from our audience. So I guess today's session actually come to an end. And through today's discussion, we can see that actually it's really important for us to draft a will so that we have a control to pass on our legacies and also our properties. So remember to prepare a will. But actually, this drafting a will is not as complicated as you imagine as long you follow the formalities and also the steps. So once again, thank you very much to our speaker, Mr. Jason, for this fruitful discussion. And also not to forget all our audience who joined us today. We hope that today's discussion can answer some of your queries. So at the same time, just to remind everyone that the SOP for our MCO has been tightened, and everyone please remember to comply with all these SOPs. Besides, please follow our Facebook page and also our Instagram, Jason Kong & Co, to get more updates on our Legal Awareness Week, as we'll be having more talks and also more legal updates on our page.
Natalie, just one point that I wish to add in when you mentioned about MCO, right? Because I think the numbers has always gone up, and we have to observe SOP in place. And then I see I'm not saying anything, but then the number of deaths have actually increased from last year, right? Now drafting a will and to have your legacy plan, put a legacy plan in place is utmost important at this time. So I know many of us were thinking that, look, I'm not prepared for this. I don't think, at any time I'm still young and so on. But then it's hard to tell having a virus in place. So it is best if you think you are immortal for all this, right, you might be wrong. So I think it's a best time right now is if you have not done a will, I would then ask you to don't look likely on the will, right? So you have 10 property behind your back, but then you have to plan for it. Yeah, how do you distribute? And don't think that the virus, I mean, touch wood, it won't come to you is best. But then if it does, then you have to prepare for it. Yeah. So you have to take care. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Jason, for this reminder.
Yeah.
And so along this legal awareness week, we'll also be having different types of talks and also legal updates. So if you are interested, you can also leave your comment in our Facebook or our Instagram. Then we would like to hear from you on what are the topics that you are interested to hear from us. And we look forward to address those topics in our upcoming talks. So stay tuned, everyone. Stay at home, stay safe, take care. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.